Hey, we made it.
Welcome
Yay!
to Thugcrowd Radio. Please listen to this important disclaimer in its entirety. All participants of this Thugcrowd Radio episode are characters. None of the stories told during these episodes are based on facts, truth, or reality. All works of fiction displayed during this episode that resemble real-life situations are coincidental and are not meant to serve as guides or tutorials to commit any crimes in any country. Please consult an attorney for local laws and regulations. And as always, trust your inner criminal.
Fucking hard chat.
Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, all of you. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Salutations.
Hi. Hey, welcome, everybody, to Thugcrowd. We have a short list of people on tonight, but we have some people that should be on soon, but they're all going to be consolidated into one voice, I believe, because a lot of people are already at DEF CON. So they are doing their thing, and they'll be hopefully here soon. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming in and hanging. It's DEF CON week, Black Hat week, and everybody's doing a bunch of different things at once. So I'm glad that you guys are all here. So how's everyone doing tonight?
I've been staring at numbers and math for like 2 days straight, and then started learning about like electrical engineering. I kind of feel like a Harvard student right now, but that'd be kind of like lying a little bit.
Yeah, I've been staring at logs all day. Good stuff.
Slacking hard.
Hard to slack.
I've been prepping my burner laptop and my burner phone, my burner shoes.
Fridge.
Yeah, my burner vest. I got a burner mohawk.
Hey, read me. DEF CON advice. Make sure you brush your teeth and comb your hair. Also, be sure to wash your hands after using the restroom.
We got a burner toothbrush.
DEF CON advice. Drink water. It's hot.
Lots and lots of water.
Yeah, no, everybody here is I think most of us are, or half of us are going to DEF CON. They're on right now. My first time going, so I'm excited. Yeah, we're gonna be doing some funny things. Actually, our last Sunday show is going to be on Sunday at DEF CON. I don't know the time yet. We have to still kind of sort that out. It's kind of up in the air, but it is happening, and we're all going to meet up and talk together as one voice on stream. And RQU says he's bringing burner water. Awesome. Yes, and congrats to RQU and to Harmony for figuring out both of our badge puzzles. If you guys saw on Twitter, we had 2 different puzzles for our the badge made by Bon, the really awesome dragon handmade badge with the insane hand soldered like BGA, just like craziness. But yeah, so we got 2 interesting puzzles, and they were both solved by some of our viewers. So it was pretty cool. I felt proud that somebody actually figured it. Yeah.
Do we have a Hall of Fame? Do we have a Hall of Fame?
We should have a Hall of Fame. That'd be we don't have one currently, but
Hacker Mom of the Year.
Yeah,
That should be your title.
should do the awards at the end of the year, an awards ceremony. Yeah, no, I mean, so we put it out originally on Patreon too. So we have a Patreon, and anybody who is a patron is going to be able to get all of our weird challenges and contests and stuff a little bit early. We're trying to do Patreon so that we can fund some of our projects, especially stuff like sponsoring people to get certs, go to cons, and also just helping to support infrastructure for people's projects. We have a lot of really cool stuff that we've worked on, and we do it all out of pocket, but we want to be able to sort of enable people who don't have the resources that some of us do to be able to contribute and do stuff too. So really exciting stuff, though. But yeah, so tonight we're going to be talking to da5ch, the famous da5ch from Twitter. He is going to talk to us about poisoning your personal information online. And so we have like a bunch of people that have a bunch of different strategies about it, and I think that it'll be pretty interesting if we can all share things that we might do to poison our own data. Because people can get pretty creative, and people can also get really lazy. So I feel like if we can mesh those two people together, it'll be good. But yeah, so do you guys want to get into the news? I put it in voiceless voice, the news for the week.
Beautiful show notes, by the way. Love
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. I'll just post the whole thing in the chat because I don't even have to like worry about doing the doing every link at once or every time I do it, or every time that we share a new story, not have post the links because the show notes, every single browser that I open them up on has been different in how it renders it because it uses a mix of different types of characters. And so some of them are good. If you use links or if you use Firefox, they're pretty good. If you use any mobile browsers, you're probably screwed. Any older browsers are going to mess it up as well because it doesn't parse ANSI and ASCII well together. But
Thanks, WebKit.
yeah, right. It's interesting to see though, because I mean, the same thing with like anything else that we've had where we've had a lot of ANSI notes. It sometimes just whoa, hey, what's up, DNZ?
What up? It's me, it's your boy, DNZ, live from the area.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. What's going on? What did I miss?
Nothing. We're just
Everything.
doing introductions. About to get into the news. I put the voiceless voice channel. I don't know if you could see it, but you're on. I assume you're on your phone. But it's in voiceless voice. The show notes. I'll paste it again.
Okay.
I'm
gonna read those.
Yeah, so the first story that we have is really funny, and I was hoping that you'd be around for this too. This was the FCC admits that it was never actually hacked. So you remember the hack that they said there was on the comment system like a few years ago, saying that there was a bunch of people just like stuffing the comments and putting all sorts of weird stuff in the page. They admitted
This was putting a lot of freaking like GIFs and stuff like that, and pretty much taking advantage of the little API they had set up, so they can actually host a bunch of crap.
Yeah. So there's been numerous cases and numerous reports of times when there's controversial legislation you see, and they have really bizarre like comments and
They claim
you're breaking up really bad.
Oh God.
It's Robot DMZ.
He's in a hostile network right now.
Yeah, right.
I know they're DDoSing him constantly right now.
So the FCC has had controversial stuff they post on their website and people can comment on it, and there are also instances where there's a lot of random weird comments that just appear. It seems like a bot or something, and they had claimed that they were hacked or something, but then they had. Are you back?
I think I'm back. Sorry, I tried to load the page on this this shitty sim. My bad. So I think I recall that the reason I believe that they admit that they said they were hacked was just so they could take all the stuff down, right?
Yeah.
Lol. That's a interesting tactic. They took the heat for saying they'd rather say that they got hacked, do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, they act sketchy with whatever they're doing, and then you say, "Oh, they do the classic like, oh, I got hacked. That wasn't me," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like you've got widespread support for net neutrality and tons of comments coming in. And, oops, we got hacked. I can't hear you. Nah. I can't hear you.
Yeah. It's like, it's definitely a really shitty tactic. And I don't know. It's the most, that's like the lamest thing you could possibly say. Not owning up to anything at all. Just, I was hacked. I didn't say it. It's like, you did. You did say weird stuff, and you also botted your own.
Yeah.
You just went like chromatic, like a robot voice there.
It's like auto tune. Don't at me, DEF CON.
Is it? Man.
Man, stop using those North Korea relay proxies, man. They're getting a little latency.
Dude, I'm just getting stingrayed. I can't help it. What can I say?
You're getting stingrayed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm in close proximity to Naffy, so probably fucking alphabet soup. Leave us alone.
So that is classic, like, government work right there. Is fucking trying to save face by actually just blaming something else and just trying to pretend like it never happened.
Yep, exactly. Definitely funny though. Definitely an interesting official statement on what most people already could see was shady going on with that. But yeah, the next story we have is about the BGP hijacks of some payment systems. Do you guys see this?
Briefly, yeah. Do you guys follow? There's a BGP hijacked like Twitter stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, shows up like when stuff's happening. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The payment system. So that's I guess that's the payment stream APIs are pretty well documented. So building like a fake one that just always returns like not authorized or whatever. That's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 100 lines of Node, lol. I wouldn't know. So how long was the so how long were they broadcasting like those blocks for? Like how long did they actually, does it say in there?
It says that it was for, I think it was a few minutes. How long was this one? I actually don't know.
Well, it looks like the TTL was 5 days, I think.
So I'm going to actually admit I'm not really quite sure how that's actually done on wide scale. I mean, I'm familiar with like man-to-middle attacks as far as DNS spoofing. So how does this work?
Yeah, do you want to explain?
I'm a 5-year-old. Help me. I can't hear him. Shoot.
I keep seeing D&D light up, and
Well, BGP syncing is basically saying like am I explaining?
No,
Beep, boop, beep.
that's not going to work.
Hello?
Darn.
Check.
Radio
Hello.
check.
Okay. So BGP in a nutshell, right? It's like so.
Oh god.
Regular
Why did I even ask?
You have a big trust-based thing where you can now networks. You have specific blocks that you can route to, right? Fuck.
yeah, okay.
That's like Neo. Well, like Neo when he gets sucked into the mirror in the Matrix.
I love that part.
Just what it sounds like.
Just went for it. Just touch the mirror. Do it, Neo. Give a walk.
Basically, it's like, I don't know, you would, in the most simplistic term, just think about it as like art spoofing on a wide scale. When you say that you're a network that has some block that it's in that it's not.
Yeah, I think it's like a trust-based system at the highest levels of the internet, where routers announce that they have the route to a specific IP address, and any one of those high-level routers can announce that they have the route, and there's really nothing verifying that they do or don't have that route.
Okay, that makes
it's entirely
sense. It's pretty much saying that, like, yes, I have the IP address to this name that you're looking for, sir. Go this way. But you're just being the louder, noisier computer saying, like, yeah, just go here.
Yeah.
Okay, clear as mud. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I was in the middle of putting my dinner away and then just hearing the like just weird robot voice and just laughing. Oh, bye. I wasn't making fun of you, DNC. I hope you know.
Oh, he's pissed.
Yeah, he's so mad. Um,
feel bad because I asked a question and he was the best person to answer it.
No, that's such a hostile network, though. He's probably at the hotel.
Just use your cell phone, bro. Hotspot it up. Oh, never mind. They probably have a bunch of MC catchers and then people running their own rug like 4G networks there anyway.
I'll be impressed if we can actually do a good Thugcrowd stream from Vegas without shenanigans.
Probably gonna have to go like block any DEFCON related.
You're really far away sounding, Nux.
I said you're probably gonna have to go like just fuck this mic.
Yeah. As we're doing this, I'm like was thinking about how the stream is actually going to sound when we're there. Hopefully, it isn't that bad. But yeah. All right, let's go to the next story here. This is about this Microsoft Edge flaw that lets people steal local files. Did anybody see this one here? This is actually pretty interesting here.
Yeah, so I think you have to have a local HTML file for this to work.
Yeah.
Right. So this is kind of like an XSS. Like it's kind of like a local XSS where you launch a file locally, but then it requests another local file and then maybe submits that to a foreign website. Is that kind of how this works?
Yeah, it's basically using like the URI like file to open up, and it's like it's basically abusing like the same origin policy that would be on our website. But if
Hey,
hello.
I'm on some open Wi-Fi. Intercept me. Do your best.
But yeah, so we're talking about the Edge flaw, the for stealing files locally. So yeah, it's basically like it's using the file URI that would open up in the browser, but that would appear to be then the same domain as your, the rest of your files. They could be treated like that and then uploaded, or have them do whatever they want with them. It's interesting though because I think about this in terms of like documentation. So think about like, how many things do you know where the README is a README.html that you open up and it has like, like rich text and everything in the browser for the README that's all local. I don't know. It's just my use case that I was thinking.
So what scope do you have on that URI handler? Like, is it just like C: boot ini? Or?
Well, you would probably, because if you open up a file, you could do like any sort of like // up, directory traversal kind of thing to get something from there. So it wouldn't be like file.
Does this have to be open locally though?
Yeah, so it would have to be an open HTML file locally that would be able to access it.
Yeah, so you still have to send someone an HTML file that they download and then execute.
All right, so can you open it in like an iframe, and then you could have an iframe that is like fucking, I don't know, base64 encoded that is is that local? I don't know. A lot of these scopes got changed, like because Poisoning changed. Like there was a whole bunch of stuff where people were using like local files. This is a couple of years ago now. And yeah, because it's a different security zone, it's like the system by default was a trusted zone in IE back in Yonder.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, what other ways can you get them without specifically sending them a file? Can you make use of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe that you can just do that. Like the whole thing is exploiting is the same origin policy, like so that it's everything then within the file you have to be your local machine. But yeah, I don't know.
Something to try out for people in our research.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. It's interesting though because that file URI is pretty much in every single browser. So like any kind of browser for any kind of device. Interesting fact. The next one that I have by this is funny. So yeah, the the next story we have here is the malicious Android apps that were infected with some Windows keyloggers were pulled from Google Play. So we've seen this before with hold on, like the people not wanting phones plugged into like work computers and stuff because of potentially this. But there is actually a bunch of apps that are 145 apps in to be exact that contained executables for Windows built into. Pretty interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Hold on.
But that shit's so easy to do on Windows.
Yeah. I mean, because it's just you could do any sort of manner of things. Hold on though. Yeah, I mean, you could use like any sort of like hit emulation, or if it's like loading some sort of driver or something. I mean, like there's phones that I have that when you plug them in, it starts to download this whole. It has like a whole separate partition that loads some sort of like Windows exe to then try to install a driver to talk to the phone. So it's not that out of hand, but it's interesting to know that this is there's apps that just actively have this in there.
Yeah. But I mean, it's even like that on Linux, because even when I plug in my phone, it pops up this stupid. And it's what doesn't make sense to me is it pops up this file wanting me to install this shit for Windows, but I'm on Linux.
Yeah. No, I mean it might be very forceful. It's they're trying to get you to install something, but yeah, it's definitely interesting though. I'm glad that like the people are taking it more seriously and finding these kind of things in bulk and then just like getting rid of them all at once. So yeah. So the next one, which I was hoping to not Dan would be here for, but this one is about the West Virginia that is going to be introducing mobile phone voting for midterm elections.
I saw that. It's a fucking dumb idea.
Yeah.
Idea ever.
Yeah, this is like what is interesting is the entire thread of stuff that people were finding about the company itself and how like some of the people who worked there that were involved in the technology were like from Russia and things like that. But they're trying to basically do facial recognition to show a video of the person, and then people can cast their ballots, and they're going to use a blockchain, of course, to manage votes that have been cast. But yeah, I mean, this is just like I don't even know. It's everything that like you could have expected to have somehow happened, but just shouldn't, is now happening.
Yeah, I've noticed that in a lot of different subject matter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just surprised that they're I don't know, they haven't come under more scrutiny for it. I mean, people are saying like I've seen like praising it, saying that they're going to be revolutionizing mobile voting, but then there's other people that are saying that it's a terrible idea, and just, I don't know. It's weird that a lot of people just kind of glaze over the fact that people's devices, like just like the thing in our last story, are riddled with like shitty apps that are listening to them, and like it's like how can you put trust into somebody's like a random person's smartphone, any random smartphone, and think that would be okay.
I mean, are they implementing any kind of sandboxing with that at all?
I don't know the specifics about that, but I know that their main security thing that they've been touting is like the voice of facial recognition software and the blockchain. So I mean, if that's all they got, I don't know.
But aren't there like a crap ton of reports about how facial recognition is like really not up to par yet, and it fails like 90% of the time on a lot of shit?
Well, I mean, it depends on who's implementing it. There's some really good facial recognition out there, but who knows where this company's back end is for? How they got it. They're not Facebook or Apple with like
Right.
face. So it's I don't know. It's interesting. I'm really I'm curious to see how it turns out, but at the same time, I don't want it to happen at all.
True.
Considering with like the mail-in ballots for like people who don't actually do it physically, well, see where it goes. I mean, even those systems are pretty insecure too. It's just going off the trust of someone else's signature that they're not actually verifying with.
Yeah.
It's like, who's to say that someone else couldn't just get like a bunch of like the blank ballots and just fill them out for everyone else, because not everyone really does vote.
True.
Devil's advocate, I guess. System's broke to begin with, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
It was built that way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. It's a broken system. It's designed to be.
All right, so speaking of elections, this is something that we were talking a little bit about last week, or on Sunday actually, and this is pretty interesting. So, the Anonymous is declaring war on QAnon.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and so this to me, I mean, it's like one of those things where I felt the same way about just this is just blatant. A lot of this is blatant disinformation, and the fact that there's like nobody who's really able to stand up to it, because anybody who would be able to call out this disinformation, because now that is saying that like everything is a lie, and like, you know, the media, every single aspect of everything is just a complete lie. Anybody's telling you not is deep state shill. Just the fact that that is the like this hard line conspiracy theory like fringe is now like very very mainstream. It seems like pretty hopeless in some cases to, you know, have any positive discourse, because now we have people that are like so like just ingrained in them that whatever anybody says to them they don't agree with essentially is not true, because of like the you know walled gardens that people can create online now. You know, it was just hard for me to see anybody being able to call them out, and then seeing the fact that Anonymous from 4chan, who in the same circles as the people who fostered, you know, the QAnon thing in general, you know, the fact that they are now trying to call them out is pretty interesting, just because they would know that in their video they said like, oh, when we first saw you, we said, wow, what a great troll, this is awesome. They got these people to believe this funny prank, and you know, like it's they appreciated the troll factor. And when I first saw the QAnon stuff, I thought the same thing. I'm like, wow, this is really funny. This is just like some super fringe like thing going on that a bunch of people are just being duped into. But now I'm saying that same thing, but like with like an air of like just complete disappointment in the fact that like everybody, like so many people now are very deeply involved in like literal like 8chan. Like they're getting their news from 8chan. Like
It's fucking horrible on that shit. But
Yeah.
I also thought it would be fun to go into like a non-ups IRC or whatever these days and just troll the fucking shit out of them.
8chan was kind of interesting too. That was kind of more of a spawn back during Gamergate a couple years ago. That was kind of one of those little offshoot 4chans when they realized Moot wasn't having any of it.
Yeah. And so what's weird to me is just that like when I wasn't paying much attention to this until recently, and then just seeing like people on like, you know, videos, like older people were on video like just or making videos on YouTube about how to go on 8chan and like view, you know, QAnon breadcrumb posts and everything. And like they just people like just I don't know, like people that are like would be our parents' age, you know, just talking about this stuff as if it's like completely real, and people getting into very vicious arguments about stuff. And I think that the main thing that they're saying is that, you know, we need you to stop taking advantage of the ill-informed, you know, and that's exactly what's going on. And it's just like it's just crazy. But yeah, it's really scary that this is like what can happen now. Because I mean, we've seen how many things that people seen from 4chan, like when they influenced the. Remember the Time magazine poll when they botted it so perfectly that Moot was on top, and all the people who got voted spelled out Marble Cake, also the game. Like the kind of people that would do something like that are now, or that same sort of like prank attitude like are now doing stuff that is going to directly affect like people all over the world. It's just I don't know.
So can we actually like theorize saying that probably like QAnon's probably actually nation state controlled right now, like freaking like bullsec and stuff like that back in the day?
Absolutely. The thing is that the reason why I feel so many people believe in this, I watched a bunch of QAnon videos. I think that the reason a lot of people believe this is because, one, it's the most vague information possible, and even people who make the website or make websites and videos about it admit that it's very vague, and they say you have to come to your own conclusion. But anything that's that vague that you have to come to your own conclusion just is a mirror for whatever kind of bias that you have. And so you see this like people making all these videos about, oh, like look up this thing online or look up this thing, like, Wikipedia entry or this, old news story, but everything is taken like 100% out of context, and then people don't actually get to understand, what it actually means. And it's just like, it's the same thing as like people who are like armchair lawyers or armchair, psychologists, just sort of like diagnosing people based on, what they read on someone's misinterpretation of something else. Like it's just literally like I don't know, it's infuriating to see just that this sort of misinformation is just so widespread that it's impossible to know what the truth is about anything. But the fact that it's now like people are literally getting their news, their belief system from 8chan. 8chan, literally like every other board on 8chan is like the worst place in the world.
#woke.
Right? So I don't know. I'm interested to see how this plays out because they say that we know who you are, and we know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I don't know. Their video is pretty funny. I gotta admit, it's like a bunch of like really interesting little kid videos that just all point back to the letter Q. So I like it. Yeah. So I'm waiting for Dash. I realized that I didn't give him the right link to get over onto here, so I'm waiting for him to get on. But yeah, so the next thing, there's two things that are kind of go together that I want to discuss. And I figured it would probably take us a little bit longer to discuss them too. But it's about how YouTube banned Alex Jones, as well as Facebook and Apple and other platforms. Do you guys have any take on this?
I've been like listening to like NPR talk about it like nonstop, so it's a thing, and people are rejoicing and like concerned about it all at the same time.
And nothing of value was lost.
Right. Well,
I mean, one side's talking about how they're a little worried about pretty much how it's like First Amendment rights don't matter anymore, but at the same time, these are like companies, organizations, like for-profit people trying to actually have like these social media platforms set up for like to make money. First Amendment rights don't really come into play, and it's frankly not even a right either.
yeah, I mean, that's literally the exact point that I thought immediately when I saw this. People outraged about it because people just like have no idea. Like, I feel like people think that, as we said before, because the internet is so ubiquitous, like because social media is such a thing that everybody just like has and assumes that you have. Because of that, like I think that people like equate like being able to be on YouTube or Twitter or whatever is like a right because that's what they use as their communication method. And so, I think this is Dash. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Just typing. So yeah. So yes, everyone here in the chat. So who they choose to use as their communication method. So that's it. That's the other point too. So the people I feel like don't seem to get that the companies that like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and every company that you use in tech is literally for profit. They're there to make money. and they have a very, 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 very well crafted, very lengthy terms of service that they can just like called they can just like use for whatever. They can like use that to justify whatever. And if they can't justify it, they can just update their terms of service. Like it's just they don't need to care. And so people keep saying that you know the human rights and the First Amendment and everything like that. We have like global companies here that they don't have to follow every aspect of the First Amendment or anything that we have here. So yeah, I just think that a lot of people are just up in arms about it, and it makes sense because it sucks to have sort of chilling effect on things when there are people that are banned from certain platforms, but at the same time, that's their choice. And Alex Jones has a very extensive platform as it is. His InfoWars website is very popular and successful, and these other things are just outlets of them. And hey, Dash, is that you?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Hey there. We're just talking about the Alex Jones getting banned from YouTube.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. It's what the problem is that like it really like it sucks because you don't want to be banned from stuff. Like I would want to be banned from YouTube, but at the same time, if I was, I feel like we could just make our own thing. And yeah, it'd be difficult in some ways to do distribution, but I mean, I don't know. It's how did I find out everybody here on IRC? Like, I don't know. Like there's like some weird word of mouth thing that somehow led me here. So like I feel like what is going to end up coming down to though is things are going to become a lot more tribal in terms of how like content as a whole is consumed by people, and that's something that I feel like might make things a little bit more difficult down the road. Just because everybody's going to be on their own platform, like, oh, I didn't see that because I'm not on Twitter, or I didn't see that because I'm not on Gab or that really shitty BitChute website, the video website. It's all conspiracy theories. But yeah, I feel like it's just going to make things a bit more insular for a lot of people and hard to actually have discourse. But at the same time, that's also how society was before the internet. So I don't know. I feel like we're going to go right back into that.
I feel you. I don't know. I just think it's kind of bullshit that it took this long, though, for somebody in clear violation of so many different platforms' rules to actually get banned by those platforms. Only reason it took so long is because they knew they were making shit tons of money off of his bullshit conspiracy theories. If it was you or me, we would have been banned in a heartbeat.
Yeah, exactly. Because they tolerated a lot with him. I mean, his like, especially like Facebook and all the other places where things get shared, where there's just like people then directly quoting Alex Jones and like targeting like Sandy Hook parents and stuff, and you're just like, how do they let this happen? Like, where this is originating from, so why is this continuing?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's definitely something that I've been seeing a lot on, and I just wanted to kind of get our opinions out there because a lot of people just, I don't know, are still very angry about it. You see a lot of stuff like, I saw a news report on CNN on YouTube, and then people in the comment section, which of course is the best to read on CNN, saying that CNN should be banned for being fake news and for inciting violence and all this stuff. And it's just like this like insane rhetoric and like false equivalency that like, I don't know, like CNN's like, people have different opinions about it, but they're an organization that has actually made a reputation for themselves. And like Alex Jones is like one guy who just did this recently. Like he got really popular in the past, like, I don't know, 20 years or so. So it's just like, I don't know, people just seem to think that like everything is exactly the same because again, everybody sees information in the same way presented to them on their, mobile devices or wherever they get their info from. So yeah. But good on them, I guess, for trying to get him off because he literally had people terrorize grieving families. So fuck him. But the other aspect of it was the second part of the show notes here, which is from Portsfigure. Somebody, Catherine Chapman on Portsfigure's blog, had written about people who were getting their YouTube videos taken down that were hacking tutorials. So there's a couple people, one of them in particular is listed here. He had done videos about how to do DDoS attacks, and he explained like different aspects of what a DDoS attack is, how easy it is to do, and like other aspects of it. And his stuff's got taken down, and couple people have said that before too. And same with even DEF CON talks have been taken down from really arbitrary copyright violations and stuff based on their content. So it's another like murky territory that I don't know if you guys had any opinions on.
It's bad. Don't do it.
What's bad?
No, seriously, that's my opinion. It's like information should be free. I mean, you got to actually know pretty much how to do the bad stuff to stop the bad stuff.
Yeah, I mean that. But this is the other thing too. It's just it's like you can make similar. I mean, you can make similar arguments, I guess, about why you would ban somebody for posting a DDoS tutorial as somebody who would post some lunatic fringe like incitement to violence content, because I mean people seek out information about how to do, DDoS.
I don't know. I just feel like we're kind of lynching that poor kid who actually identified that the king was actually not wearing nothing at all, and like the king's new suit or the emperor's new wardrobe. I'm trying to remember that old fable. But more or less, you're just kind of punishing the people who are like, oh, hey, this is actually how you do that. Here, you can use this for academic reasons. Here's a proof of concept. It's not my fault that people go ahead and do this for nefarious needs and then actually try to make money off of that. But it's just, I think if it's better as a whole, we need to actually identify what the problem is.
Yeah, no, I mean that's definitely really true. But yeah, I mean it was interesting to see that these two stories came out in the same week about hacking tutorials and YouTube banning, and then Alex Jones and Fringe Conspiracy and YouTube banning. It's just, I don't know. It's interesting to see the differences, because some people would say that there is no difference and that all information should be free always. And so I don't know.
Now, at the same time, YouTube is a for-profit company. They have investors. They need to make those investors happy. If investors see nefarious things that make them a little queasy, like, oh my God, here's how you use Kali to go ahead and actually get a WPA handshake so you can actually get the free Wi-Fi password using this word list, for example. Everyone's done that before. But they kind of see that and they go, oh, wait, this isn't good and we don't actually approve of these values, so we're going to go ahead and take money away. So that makes sense a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, I was grabbing some water.
Devil's advocate.
No, I definitely think so. I think that's the exact same. Is that ultimately, if you want to have that sort of thing, you can make your own website, and it sucks they're not going to allow it, but the internet is the internet, and nothing's stopping you from building your own platform.
That would be a different story if they're actually blacklisting your domain name and they're pretty much making it so they can't search you at a given time. That's the whole different rabbit hole right there. But honestly, I mean, YouTube has a right to do that. That's their prerogative, and that's what they do as a business model.
Yeah, I mean, that would even be said the same for Google and Google searches. Because Google makes money out of ads and searches, and their investors don't want their ads appearing next to, some horrible stuff. Then
they don't necessarily want to actually have those links to those torrents so people can get those free movies either. So that's why they kind of block those as well.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, it's just interesting the nuances of how this actually plays out in the world. And I think that I don't know, a lot of people have to have more discussions about this, because people seem to think that a lot of this stuff is just always has to be free and everything. And it's just, I don't know. The internet's always been built around companies, and people have just been working around that.
Yeah, perfect tie into the Alex Jones story, because it's kind of just one side of it's like two sides of the coin. Either they get a choice or they don't have a choice.
Yes. Well, that's it for the news there. Dash, how you doing right now?
Doing okay. Me or somebody who looks like me just checked into their hotel in Vegas.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, pretty stoked.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I don't know where DNZ is, or where not Dan is, or some of the people that were going to come on. I think that I'm glad that you have good voice quality here, because we had a DNZ here who sounded like a mix of like T-Pain and like just like a general robot.
Yeah, the wireless is kind of spotty everywhere, but I'm in a good spot right now, so I'm just staying put.
Oh yeah. Well, if you want, we can start talking a bit about the main topic of PII poisoning. If you want.
All right. I love that. Oh, it's one of my favorite things.
Oh, yeah.
Admittedly, I don't think that I'm even very good at it yet. I just do a little bit of it here and there to make it a little bit more frustrating to find me.
Yeah.
But everybody's threat model is different. But I love it. So I don't know. I do all kinds of things. One of my biggest things is just not using your fucking full name when you introduce yourself to strangers. Like, sweet Jesus. I'm still a little bit shocked that that's still normal in society in 2018 for people to give their names to people that they've never met and who can then usually just go on Facebook and find out like everything about your life. It's a little bit fucking terrifying.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's nowadays, especially because people have Facebook and social media, I feel like people get a lot more petty with that kind of thing. Like, even like regular people who aren't like into InfoSec or anything, just dox each other all the time to like just like prove a point, you know, after they say, oh, I saw this lady at the supermarket and she was cut me off at the, you know, like, I don't know, whatever. I saw her license and I went on Facebook and I saw her. Here's a picture of her. Here's all of her family. You're like, what the fuck did you like? How? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And people don't typically threat model unless they're in our industry and they don't have any idea what they should be looking out for and trying to protect themselves from.
Mhm.
And in my experience, the only muggles that seem to have a kind of good idea about OPSEC and PII poisoning, that sort of thing, tend to be people that have been stalked quite a bit.
Yeah. And so that's the thing that sucks is that's people who have been stalked have had to learn the hard way. If you've been stalked or been doxxed or harassed,
Yeah.
you know, whatever, that's you know, it sucks that that's what it comes down to. Then those people have to be the advocates for it. But I guess we can go for those like kind of questions that I had here. We can start off with just like what is PII poisoning for people who are listening here.
So PII poisoning is feeding false information, kind of like red herrings that people trying to dox you will find either old or wholly inaccurate information much more readily than they'll find your real info.
Yeah. So that's like kind of the focus of what we had said too.
Yeah.
So more or less counterintelligence.
Kind of. And like, it doesn't even have to be that elaborate. Like, some people try to go super balls deep in it and end up fucking things up because they don't keep things consistent. But one of the big things is, of course, not using your real name as often as you can help it. Paying fucking cash everywhere. Not using rewards programs at all the goddamn places that you shop. Yeah, people don't seem to understand that information about like your buying habits and stuff like that, that's for sale. Like, I don't know. If you've ever had an actual advertising account on Facebook that spends more than like, $100,000 a year, you'll be terrified the kind of information you can get about a person if you just say that you're thinking about targeting them or people like them with ads.
Yep. So yeah, actually, we had DNZ. Is it DNZ who brought this up last week or so about the person who did the that trouble swallowing pills thing and being able to target somebody, finding a way to be so granular with your searches to be able to target one person in particular that they knew. That kind of stuff is frightening. That I mean, it's understandable that it exists, but it sucks that it exists, and it's something we all have to kind of look out for.
Definitely. So a few things that I do is, well, partly just because I like puns and word games. All of my aliases, the first names start with DA and the last names start with SCH, so that they all spell dash. Because it's just fucking hilarious to me. Like, I can't get enough of it. So I won't say which services are under which, because that would kind of defeat a lot of the point of this. But like, I've got things like Daniel Schatz and Dalton Schultz and Derek Schoenfeld and shit like that, like all sorts of different names. And I used to go way more in depth with these when I was trying to be a hell of a lot more secretive. And I would have like social media profiles for all of them. I would have some of them have their own separate shopping histories just to further the lies. Get them all their own Facebook friends that are aliases for my other friends that we just use for ruses and distractions. It all depends on different things. One of the biggest things is, for the love of God, if you're a hacker, don't have your cell phone under your own goddamn name. Like, just don't do it. It's really fucking simple. Just don't put it under your name. Do prepaid and give a bullshit name. And if the people at the phone store are like, I don't know about this, go to the next phone store. Find somebody else who knows what the dummy socials are to put in so that you don't have to use your own. Don't provide ID. Pay for your phone in cash. And just doing that alone mitigates a tremendous amount of what's available about you in an easy to find manner. Because, I mean, if I know your name, there's a damn good chance I can find out your phone number, especially if it's actually listed to you, like under your name. You're not using like your mom's account. So if I can find your phone number, I can very easily find out what carrier it's on. If I have your carrier and your phone number and your name, then SIM swaps are pretty fucking easy. But even if you've got my phone number, if you have no idea which fucking alias my account's under or what address I used for it, because it's not one that gets mail, you're probably not going to have that much luck SIM swapping me. Don't use the SIM card cell phone number for your online accounts or for interacting with people as much as you can help it.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I like to do a lot too, I advise people to do is, if you can, create, like use like VoIP services and just route calls to your number through other numbers, and have. But I don't know. Do you?
I would hesitate on routing things just because if the person on the other end knows what they're doing, they can figure out what number got connected to. Like, that's actually fairly easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what your actual use case for it is. I'm saying
Certainly.
for when I have numbers that I'll give out that are, very carefully crafted, that when I have to give a number for something, something will get to my cell phone eventually, but it'll go through something else, a couple hops. I'll have like 7 phone proxies,
Hey,
so
kicking it old school.
but yeah, I mean, those kind of things are just keeping. Like, I mean, you can say the same thing about email aliases too. Like, if you're having an email alias that is just going to your regular one that you can just shut off at any time.
Definitely.
Definitely. Use to sort of not give away your exact information. But yeah. So.
And for both of those things, I've really become quite enamored with the Pseudo app, because it lets me get new emails whenever the fuck I want. And unlike Tudomail, a bunch of service providers haven't blocked their email domain yet.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fucking cool. And then you can have up to 9 VoIP phone numbers at any given time through the app. And then if you have 2 iPhones, well, you can have 18 different phone numbers. Or if you have an iPad, boom, 24, however many, whatever, 27. It's pretty fucking sweet. And then anytime you need to burn a number, it's like $1 to get a new one. It's really, really reasonable.
What is this thing called?
Pseudo, SUDO.
Okay.
It's an iPhone app. They're coming out with an Android version soonish, probably by 4th quarter this year.
Cool.
But yeah, I fucking love it.
Oh, that's really
Personally,
cool.
I just use Google Voice as like an alternate phone number, but it's not perfect. But that's what I got.
I use Google Voice numbers specifically for things that need a number for SMS verification, because not all of them will work with all VoIP providers, but Google Voice tends to work with more than a lot of others.
So yeah. So we talk about like I feel like when people like us talk about this, a lot of people might think that we are just being like paranoid and that it's just over the top. But why would you say that a PII poisoning and just being diverse with your data, the data that you give out is important to the average person?
A handful of things. So one thing that I really like bringing this up for normies, for muggles, is bringing up the situation of, hey, let's say you're at a bar. Let's say you meet somebody at the bar. You're already intoxicated. You're not making good judgment calls. And you do want to exchange digits with somebody because you want to put your penis in them or get theirs and yours. Like, whatever you're doing. But you don't necessarily know who that person is. You don't necessarily know if you actually want them to know your information and your actual whole name and your phone number and be able to go stalk you and find you on every fucking platform in existence, because that's creepy. So the situation of, let's say you meet somebody at the bar, you have a good time, they start like creepily texting you, like, you know, when somebody's texting you like 50 times for every one that you send back.
Yeah.
Like, hell to the no. Like, that's immediate cause for just burning that phone number. Because even if you block the caller, like let's say you're on iPhone or Android and that's your real number, you could block that caller, but what's going to stop them from just getting a new number to harass you on from then? Or finding you on Snapchat and adding you from 1,000 different accounts as you keep blocking them on there. Like, it's good for avoiding harassment. And that's one of the big things that a lot of people can see the value in really quickly.
Yeah.
Another thing is being able to model who's selling your data without your permission. So let's say I've got an email address that I've created, but I only ever gave out to one vendor or, you know, one service. And then I never signed anything saying that they could sell my data or share it with affiliates, stuff like that. But then all of a sudden I start getting spam and advertisements from other folks. If I've only used that email with that one provider, I could tell immediately who sold my data and start taking actions against them. So that's pretty big, but that is also exhausting to try and create a fresh email for every goddamn service you have online.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's levels of difficulty depending on how crazy you want to get with it. But one of the big things I would say is just for your regular like texting with other people, get yourself a pseudo or a Google Voice VoIP number and use Signal. And then they're not going to be able to reset all your online accounts. They're using your SIM number for SMS verification because they don't fucking know that phone number. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Like, there's some things that in this day and age you should try to keep private. And I would say among them are how you do password resets. So what email addresses and phone numbers are used for those, that should be private, that only you know. And then also some things like, of course, your passwords that you use for signing into things and your 2FA tokens and shit like that. These things, if you could just keep those private and only to yourself, like, it is vastly more difficult for somebody to compromise you. I don't know. And then a lot of it, though, for me has been avoiding stalkers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You brought up creating a new email for every service.
If you're willing to, or at least
no.
creating
So
several.
I want to bring it up with my domain, or with a domain I manage through Google. You could just set a wildcard and then have all of them forward to one address.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
That's a way nicer way to do it. If you're willing to actually pay to host and maintain your own domain.
You don't have to pay anything extra to do that. It's all set up through Google if you just have a Gmail, and it forwards to that Gmail. So like, you don't have to pay for extra emails because you're essentially forwarding those email addresses to another one.
But you have to have the G Suite, right?
No, you don't. Like, just as long as you have your domain hosted through Google.
Oh, if the domain's hosted through them. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, you still have to
Or
be a
paid-
customer, paid customer of those.
There's
Yeah.
something similar with Office 365. You know, you have, I think, like unlimited aliases.
Yep.
For your domain. That's how. That's a convenient way to do it. It's just it takes 2 seconds to create a new alias for every thing that you sign up for.
And that's definitely what I would recommend if you're actually using your own domain. By all fucking means, make sure that your provider lets you create as many aliases, or if you're running the mail server, set it up so that you can create them on the fly. Like, 'cause that's super handy.
So, do you have any thoughts on like? So, like, I was a football star. You know, I was the quarterback, and I took my local team to state championship.
Oh, so you're in
And that was-
newspapers and shit all over.
Yeah, you know, I was pretty much like a fucking big deal, you know. And but now there's nothing I can do about that. Like, I was a big deal, and now everybody knows about it. You have any thoughts on, like, you know, how to deal with that sort of like high school notoriety that I unfortunately have to deal with now?
Yeah. Stop giving people your real name, and they won't be able to find those.
Right? Yeah,
Like,
I mean, that's like, what
start
else
going by
can you
an
do?
alias or your middle name, and that's going to be your absolute best bet to mitigate that, because you can't totally suppress those unless you like go into witness protection or something. Then you can petition for that. But I mean, in normal circumstances, I would just say, just don't go by your first name. Just start going by a nickname. Nicknames aren't that weird. People try to make it seem more crazy than it is, but honestly, when I tell people my name's Dash, most people just think it's cool as hell. They don't think it's weird. Like, they want to know if I was born named that or if it's an assumed name, but I don't know. I tell them it's an assumed name and it's a contraction nickname, and then people usually think nothing else of it.
I mean, do you think that there is there a way to get like your local newspaper website, because they're all online now?
Yeah,
you know, is there a way to get that stuff removed?
Yes, but only from the websites. You can't remove all the other backups of them, like the microfiche record at your local library is still going to have it and keep it for at least 70 years. But you can request that they pull it down, but it's entirely at their discretion. So I'd say if you're going to try to get it taken down, at least have a good story to convince them as to why. Tell them that you're trying to avoid an abusive former partner or former employer or something who's become hostile toward you, and that for personal safety reasons, you need as much of your information suppressed as possible.
Yeah. Like, I'm being stalked by someone who murders journalists and online newspaper employees.
They'll love that.
Hey,
They'll feel like you're one of them.
They would
They'll
like
do
it.
everything to save you.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's not like your name's on Wikipedia, or not Wikipedia, excuse me, WikiLeaks, like I am. Don't ask why. But
Yeah,
I'm actually on that. I'm on that database for life.
Yeah, there's not much you can do about that, especially because there's so many people that just fucking download everything as it goes up to WikiLeaks. But
Well,
yeah.
it's interesting because last week we were talking about hacker parents and how to sort of handle your child's online presence, and it's something that I feel like our generation wasn't afforded. Like, we didn't really have a choice if you were going to be in the paper, you know, or on the online version of the paper.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just interesting. Like, how do you deal with that sort of record of your past that you had no control over?
That's tough. But what I would say is at the very least, don't do the same kind of shit to your kids. Like, if your kid's under 18, for fuck's sake, don't put photos of them online on your Facebook and make your Facebook public so that anybody in the world can scrape that shit down without your kid as a full-grown adult having an educated say in the matter. Like, that's really fucked up that people document their kids' entire growing up in public for everybody to see. And then there's no way that they're going to be able to come back from that and try to obtain privacy after the fact. Like, if you've been spilling their dirt since they were like an infant and everybody's seen them grow up online, including a whole shitload of people who are strangers to that child, like, that's really fucked up. That's like inviting 700 people to come look in your kid's window as they're doing that cute thing. Like, that's not normal. Like, don't fucking do that.
That's how I feel about people who try to do like get their kids to be like some sort of like viral star, and they'll like make videos of them, or they'll do like, I don't know, just something that's like really embarrassing. Like, think about all the stuff that you might have had happen to you when you were a kid with your parents, like, oh, do the dance to show like your aunt and uncle that you didn't, that stupid dance you do when you were like 5.
The fucking dance.
Yeah. And then like
It's fucked
how
up.
that dance has 400 million views on YouTube, and there's people just like, I don't know, like saying horrible stuff, and they know exactly what your name is and where you live, and like it's really frightening that people are.
They know exactly what to say to make you do that dance.
Yeah.
I mean, whether your kid becomes famous on the internet or not should be their decision, and specifically only after they're old enough to make an informed decision about it. This is why most of those fucking services won't even let somebody under 13 create an account and won't let anybody under 18 create a public one. Like, that's actually a good thing that has come around with recent policy changes and legislation. Like, that's good. But a lot of people are circumventing that and fucking their kids over anyways by posting shit on their behalf. And just,
I do know.
God, don't do it.
A friend of my friend had changed their Twitter age to their real age because they made an account before they were supposed to be old enough to make one, and Twitter actually shut his account down.
He broke terms of service. I mean, that's
years
well within
ago.
their rights.
I
It
know.
doesn't matter.
They're starting to do that now with a lot of different things.
I know. And it kind of sucks, but I don't know. I feel like there should be a certain level of awareness of what the fuck your kids are doing online before they're teenagers or before they're adults. Like, you should be aware and you should be vetting, and you shouldn't be encouraging your kid to lie and say that they're 19s, so that they can create a Facebook account that will also let them create a Tinder profile when your daughter's 13 and now she's going to get fucked by some stranger. And like, no, just fucking no. Like, don't let your kids lie about their ages.
I don't think it's the parents letting the kids lie about their ages, though. I think it's the kids being unpoliced and unwatched because technology is so rampant and so easy to use nowadays that like a parent, I'll admit it. I'll be the first one to admit it. I was part of the problem. I used to sell cell phones, and I used to convince that soccer mom to buy her 6-year-old kid an iPhone.
I did similar. I can't fault you too much on that. But at least on something like that, you can restrict what the kid can get into.
But most of the
read
parents
the fucking instructions and restrictions.
I guess,
but most people won't.
Yeah,
I mean,
most people
be honest here.
Give a shit enough.
I mean, I was that kid pretty much at 13 years old trying to actually get like pornography off of 4chan and stuff like that. I mean, I was smart enough to actually figure out, but at the same time, my parents didn't really restrict it. I mean, my dad knew what I was up to.
I remember growing up, my parents had no idea what I was doing. Like, I would come home from like at like, I don't know, elementary, middle school, and like get on the computer, and it was in a different room all the way downstairs, and like I could close the door, I could do whatever I wanted, and my parents had no idea because my parents barely used computers.
Lucky. I was kidding.
Until
back in my day.
I remember
we had to walk uphill both ways to school, and we used to say that we were born in 1889, January 1st.
We used to use dial-up to get the pornographies.
Oh,
It took
trust me,
forever.
I used
One row of
dial-up
pixels
back
at a
in the
time.
day. I did use dial-up. It was just my parents, like my mom, when I was like a kid, like I was learning how to read. My mom would like let me log into AOL and just walk away. And today it's even worse because kids have their own iPads, their own laptops, their own technology, and nobody's policing these children. Like,
Not nobody, but
I'm sure that kid you're playing
tiny
Fortnite with
amount.
on the PC, his parents have no idea what the fuck he's saying.
True. But what
Like-
I would say is if you're actually a hacker who's a parent, don't be part of that overwhelming majority who's letting their kids just fucking click fuck the internet willy-nilly and create profiles wherever they want. Like, lock down their shit, proxy everything through something that you can monitor, and fucking keep track of where they're going, what they're doing. If nothing else, keep track of their DNS records that you know when they're going to things that you wouldn't want them to go to. But most importantly, maintain an open fucking dialogue with your child. I mean, if your kid doesn't trust you to tell you about what they're doing online, they're gonna go behind your back or find ways around it. Like, there's no substitute for being able to have serious one-on-one conversations with your kid about like the dangers of what's out there, and hey, I'm gonna check some things for you just to make sure you don't get into trouble, and so you don't get infected and ruin your device or other stupid shit, or get picked up by the cops for joining a dating website when you're fucking a teenager, not even 18 yet. Like, you don't want to go to prison for lying about shit. Like,
all right, hey,
and
Dash,
if you reason with them, they can usually get it.
Dash, my kids are probably going to be fine, but I'm fucked, man. Like, what am I going to do? There's so much information about me out there, and I would like to just put some misinformation out there about me so that when someone Googles me, they can't figure out exactly who I am. How am I going to go about that?
One of the big things that you're going to want to do in that sort of an instance is, well, it's going to depend on how much you're willing to actually spend, like money and time-wise, on this. But one of the easiest things to do is convince some of the damned advertising agencies that you live somewhere else. And that's really easy to do. Like, go ahead and sign up for like the Omaha Steaks newsletter, but use somebody else's address. Whether you even know who lives there or not, it doesn't fucking matter. As soon as you start seeding it to some of those upstream data providers, they're going to seed it to everyone else, including the data aggregators like Pipple and Been Verified and all the other shittier ones that are out there.
What sort of like the local newspaper? Like what sort of?
With the local newspaper, I mean, your best bet is just going to be to actually contact them and give them a sob story for why you would like to have your information redacted. If nothing else,
No. I'm just sort of thinking like, if I wanted to automate this and say,
that's
read me used to be.
Give me 1 second. Let me find one DEF CON video that'll probably have all the solutions to your questions.
Like, README used to be from one state, but tomorrow README is going to be from all 50 states. You know, I wonder if there's one sort of service that I could sign up for in all of the 50 states that would sort of make it hard to figure out what state I actually live in.
Well, I don't think it would be one service.
Yes and no.
I don't think there would be one service specifically, but I think what Ike was actually mentioning was that talk about like legal depth and being able to sign up like a person for something.
Are you talking about Chris Rock's "I Will Kill You"?
Yes, that one.
God damn, I love that talk so much.
Yeah, but Remy, actually, you should definitely watch that soon because that's a really good talk. And I feel like a lot of it has to come down to there's not going to be one specific solution, and you're going to have to kind of tailor this for for what your specific scenario is. I think that the main thing is basically just like being able to, again, make yourself be available or seem like you're from different places by, as you were saying, sign up for newsletters, sign up for websites, whatever. Just feeding it and just poisoning it, because you're not going to be able to cover. If you have one or two big specific things, it's better. It's like the Streisand effect. Like, you'd rather have things get lost in the noise rather than point out that one thing and then everyone say, "Oh, why can't I read this newspaper article?"
Exactly.
Because I was valedictorian in every state in America.
Shouldn't have told us that part. Now you just made it easier.
Well, I was, but back there was a certain year. Yeah, Read Me was valedictorian everywhere.
Now, yeah, as far as making it hard to find you, I mean, one thing that you have to genuinely consider is, are you willing to, if there's stuff out there currently that has your current address and your current phone number that you can't change, are you willing to actually change where you live and what phone number you use to make that info that's out there no longer relevant? Because outdated information is one of the best kinds of poisoning you could do, because it actually was real. It's just not real anymore. I mean, it depends. It depends on what you're willing to put up with, what you're willing to tolerate. I know some people will go to Airbnbs and rent Airbnbs for at least a week so that they can sign up for services and have things sent to that address. Now, they also will generally, if they're doing this kind of thing, not actually rent the Airbnbs through Airbnb, but check Airbnb listings, find people that have rooms for rent who also give up their phone number or an email address, and contact them side channel and say, "Hey, I really want to stay at your place. I don't want to go through Airbnb. I'd much rather just pay you $500 to stay at your place for a month. Like, is that cool?" Most of them will be up for it. And then while you're there, start just pouring in all the fake subscriptions, and then just leave a note apologizing when you leave.
Wow.
One of those people.
I mean,
Good luck, have fun.
Couldn't just give someone else's business address. You just have to do it that route. Sure. Or just random PO
that works
boxes.
too. I like to use phone stores, so like
When I
cell
was a
phone stores.
kid- when I was a kid, when I used to sign up for shit, I used to sign up using friends of mine's addresses, which is terrible probably to do. And
Yeah,
I definitely got
then
in
it helps them
trouble.
build a network.
Well, but the thing was, I would sign up using their names, well, like a weird fake name, but at their addresses. So when stuff would come and they were like, "Dude, I just keep getting this subscription to this weird magazine," I was like, "Oh, I always wanted to read that. Can I have it?"
Okay, that's kind of funny, but it's not as helpful as you'd think, because you're using a fake name and a fake address. So it's not going to help people that already know your real name that are looking for you.
Yeah.
So one of the big things is you want to sign up for things under your real name, but at the wrong address. And then you want to sign up for things under a fake or assumed name to your real address. That's one of the things that actually helps cement it. Like, create a fake online personality for who you're showing the world lives where you live. That's actually really effective.
Yeah,
And
like pretend you're renting, like you used to live there, but now you're renting to this new person.
Yeah.
Live somewhere else, right?
And that has the distinct advantage of not forcing you to have to move away. So, I mean, if people look up that address and everywhere they look, it shows that some other John Doe lives there and not you, they might think, "Oh, well, fuck, like that's not his anymore." And then if they see, "Oh, but here we have Dash in Rhode Island, like renting an apartment and getting a whole shitload of stuff mailed to him," then they're going to think that you moved there. Like, it really does help.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, because you don't want to go too deep in having fake stuff, because then you won't have any pointers to anything that's real, and difficult for you to actually receive services at that point if everything is just fake. But I like the concept though about the Airbnb, and I was thinking about you could also then register your address as an Airbnb and have other people do that for you as well.
You certainly could, but then Airbnb is going to demand to have your real information on file.
That is true.
So just keep that in mind. But another thing that, I don't know, another thing that's really handy is just using the different phone numbers. So part of why I love things like pseudo is whenever I'm creating a new alias and I'm pretending he's from some other state, I'll just go get an actual phone number from that state. And I'll use that to sign up for some services along with that fake address that I'm using. And it adds more legitimacy. Another thing that I'm not officially recommending is find people who share your exact name. So somebody who has your same first and last, which if you've Googled yourself as much as I have, you've probably found them all by now. And go use their information to help further the poisoning, so that people going looking for you will find your name doppelganger and it'll throw them off course. And for online services where you really, really expect somebody's going to find your profile, put the other person's photo up. Again, I'm not officially recommending this, but it's very effective to take somebody else who shares your name, take some of their photos that you grabbed off of a Google search or from Facebook. And of course, mirror the image, add a filter, put like a sticker on it, and then bam, you've got a profile picture under your name that when people Google it, they're going to go find that guy. And then if they look up that photo, they're going to find more info about him, and it's going to send them on a wild goose chase. And that is hella effective.
So that reminds me of the story that Jason Scott told us when he was on here about how somebody had created a group on, or a group message on Facebook of everybody on Facebook named Jason.
All the Jason Scotts. Yep.
Yeah. And he
I
has
have
just
a feeling somebody was trying to do something with that.
I had that happen to me. It was a Facebook group though, back in the day before like group messages were really even a thing on Facebook. They made a Facebook group and invited everybody who shares my name, which was a lot more people than I expected.
Oh yeah.
And then like we all started talking, and some of us were related distantly, some of us were not. But it was just like a really interesting thing. But that's another resource that I could use if I hadn't already changed my name on every social media to a like
Pseudonym.
one. Yeah, kind of, but not really.
Okay.
So I did that years ago just so that way employers couldn't find my Facebook. But
Yeah.
I don't even use Facebook anyway. So
Yeah, I got rid of my Facebook a long time ago, but I think about almost every week how much I want to create just some more bullshit Facebook accounts for strictly for OSINT purposes.
No, that's good stuff. I mean, so one of the we talked about this really early on. Actually, I remember Lynx. We talked about this together because we were talking about our facial recognition hash that
yeah.
that gave us. So my profile picture on Facebook at the time was me with there was nothing. There was no.
You did a balaclava on, didn't you?
No, it wasn't even that. It was I had a bag or something in front of my face. It was like a cape or something. It's literally just something covering my face where there was no face at all, and it still had a Facebook like facial recognition hash that was in there. But I remember in there though, when we were everybody's looking at all their likes and everything, all my stuff was insane. And like I think that it's interesting because I had created a bunch of seed Facebook accounts that were fake, that had information that was related to me, but had all sorts of different views and different likes. And so I'd be able to log into Facebook's and then just see this like really bizarre feed of very specific stuff. Like one of them is definitely just a Nigerian scammer. And then another one is like super right wing, and like there's a bunch of different things like that. But it's interesting to see then how like everything in your like the way the information is presented to you changes. And so when I feel like it might come in handy in the future to just have whatever sort of advertising profile on me. Think that I'm like so many different types of people at once, but at the same time, it also like I don't know. I don't know.
It all depends. But I mean, for really ease of use more than anything, name-alikes are one of my favorites because if they do their own independent verification on it and they start looking up that name, they're going to find that picture or pictures of the person just like you did. So nothing's going to look weird about it. And then anytime you need to verify services, well, cool. You actually are that name. So nothing's going to seem weird there either. It's just going to be strange when like your grandma's trying to message you on Facebook and you changed your profile picture to a dentist in another state that has your same name. Like, what's going on with this? But like, that's a one-time conversation and then you're golden.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, what's the other? What are, I guess, some of the things that you should avoid doing when you're doing this sort of poisoning? That's one of the things that I wanted to say. Everybody has ideas. Everybody has ideas on what's going to work. A lot of stuff you kind of look at it, and I mean, we're all talking to each other, and even us have our own opinions on, or we have our own opinions on what would work and what wouldn't. But I'd say, in your experience, what are some of the major things that you would avoid?
Ooh, okay. So there's a few. So for one thing, anytime you're creating an account under a completely assumed name or an alias or a nickname and you're trying not to tie it back to yourself, don't make the first 20 people that you connect with on that platform people that you know in real life. I see that all the time. Like somebody creates a new Facebook using like their hacker handle or a new Twitter, and then the first 12 people that they friend or follow are all like their direct relatives and their best friend from college. Don't fucking do that. Just super don't. Like that's really dumb. Another stupid thing is saying that like 30 of your fake personas live at your house, because people are just going to Google image search your house, like Google Maps it, look at the front of it, see what size it is. If it doesn't look like a facility that could hold all 30 of those fake people, they're going to know it's bullshit. They're going to see right through it. Another big thing is it depends on who you're trying to hide from, clearly. But like if your threat model actually includes like cops and feds, don't use plastic for any payments, like at all, if you can help it. Like just super don't, because that just makes you really easy to track. And then if they're actually looking for you, they're going to be able to put 2 and 2 together when they can see that you go to these same 5 stores every day or every week or every month. They're going to know exactly where the fuck you are. So, I mean, it depends. If you're trying to hide from stalkers, don't post photos of yourself to the internet anymore. Like some people are really vain and that can be really hard for them. But if you're actually trying to get off the grid or become harder to find, but the person looking for you, especially somebody who's harassing you or intends you harm, if they know what you look like don't underestimate their persistence and how much they're willing to dig and look around and impersonate your other friends to get close to you. So like super don't use real photos of yourself if you're actually trying to be hidden, trying not to be found. Now, an exception to that would be really old photos that are already available in places where you cannot have them retracted or redacted. So like the newspapers for your childhood exploits, use those photos for some of your bogus accounts where you're just trying to make it look like you live somewhere else or something. Like use those kinds of things, the things you can't get suppressed. And then for all of your stuff, use fucking memes or Mr. Roger flipping people off. Like it doesn't matter. Don't use your actual face if you're trying to remain hidden, because anybody that's actively searching for you, that knows what your face looks like, that's going to be the quickest means for them to find the real you. Or if they know what phone number actually goes to your SIM card, there's a whole shitload of services where they can just place a call to you from a spoofed number looking like it's coming from somebody else. As soon as you pick up the phone, they can pay like $1 and see exactly where you answered the phone from. Or even where your phone forwarded to voicemail from. Because when your phone forwards to voicemail, your phone actually answered the goddamn call. It's also bridging that to your voicemail box.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's something people don't think about.
That's the other thing about the phone, though. One of the things that's cool about Google Voice is that Google Voice, if you don't respond to it, then it'll answer through Google Voice's voicemail, and it'll stay, which is cool. It's like a little landing pad if you don't actually hit the call.
Yeah, and that's why the numbers that you give out, even to your friends and family, should be VoIP numbers ideally, and not your actual SIM subscriber phone number.
Yeah.
That should be, especially if you're trying to keep from being found again, that should be hidden. That should be concealed. That shouldn't be what you give out to people. And one thing people don't think about is, well, I only use this number to talk to a handful of family members, and for everything else I use my Google Voice or whatever. Well, cool, but what if like your cousin or your best friend's sister or whoever else that you gave that number to, what if they sign up for some shitty app that, as part of the terms of service, when they're installing it, gets permission to upload their entire contact list to their servers where they're sending it to advertisers? Well, now those advertisers have the name that person saved you as and that phone number, and they're going to start giving it out willy-nilly. So that's something people don't think about. And if you're trying to stay off the grid, make sure to actually have that conversation with your friends and family that, hey, don't fucking save me as my given name in your goddamn phone. Like, put a nickname, put anything else, put not my drug dealer. Like, I don't care, but like, don't put my real name. And if you're going to put my real name, you're never going to get my SIM card phone number. You're only ever going to get VoIP numbers.
Yeah, that thing you're saying too about contacts and people that have your number, that's another huge thing, especially family members. There are some families that I know that will tag people's like alt accounts with like no pictures or anything. They'll like tag them in a memory, like, oh, remember this from like 5 years ago when you did this? And it's like their clear face that just has tagged, it just like
that shit irks me.
Because then what also sucks is that then your family doesn't understand why you wouldn't want to be private. And so then they get offended by that and think that you're, you don't want to be seen with them or, like.
Yeah, and that's tough. Like, I've got some family members who still have a shitload of photos of me on some of their online accounts. And I've tried pleading with them repeatedly to, hey, fucking don't ever tag me again. And please, for the love of God, if you take a photo of me and you want to share it with family members, send that to them via iMessage or like email it to them. Don't fucking put it on Facebook, because your Facebook cleanliness just leaves a lot wanting. Like, your grandma is not going to have her Facebook locked down nearly as well as you would like for her to, especially when she's sharing photos of you from childhood and then middle school and then high school and then your graduation from college. And she's sharing all of those on your birthday to be like, hey, look at my sweet little boy. And yeah, like, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to talk with them. And also just be aware that you might not be able to suppress everything, because, I mean, the weak link in your armor might actually be your friends and family's OPSEC. And that's very fucking common.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, in a lot of cases that I've seen where people have gotten caught doing something shitty, they have gotten caught because of that. Their friends and family.
Like the drug dealers from Colombia whose kids post photos of them next to dad's stacks of cash and cocaine on Instagram, and then they get raided.
Yep.
Like that shit keeps on happening. Just fucking keeps happening.
You gotta love the junior FBI.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this has been awesome though. Is anybody here in the chat? J-Random, someone has been spitting a lot of knowledge here too. Anybody else have any questions for Dash in the chat specifically about? He's saying, or J-Random, someone in the chat was saying that finding people who used to live in your house is a good way to also cover your tracks as well.
Yes, that is an excellent one. And also people that used to own your phone number.
Yes.
That can also be really handy. Like, I love when I get a new burner number from Pseudo, just waiting for like the first 6-7 days after I make it to see who texts it. And then look that person up online, see who they are, and then see who the person they thought still owned the number is. And just keep perpetuating the myth that that person still has that number. It's really fun.
Yeah. Well, actually, one time I had got a burner number from a carrier. I activated a phone, and the number that I got was still connected to somebody's Facebook account, and so I could just go in and log into it. And they were like a huge sneaker collector, and there's people that were like asking them like messaging them about sales and stuff. And I literally logged into the browser, and it just said I was trying to log into Facebook, and it logged me in.
He allegedly signed into another person's account. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Well, no, it was actually really automatic. I was actually pretty shocked, and I had to figure out how to get this guy to not have his number associated with this because I didn't want it, and also it was just automatic because it was integrated into the phone's Facebook app that opened up.
Oh no!
Yeah. So
that sucks.
So I log in. It goes, log in. Click log in. No email. Just whoop, you're in. Like you are this number.
Oh sweet God.
Yeah, this was a few years ago, but this is still this sort of thing is just it's scary to see that that happens. But yeah, definitely if you change your number, or I don't know why anybody has their number associated with Facebook anyway. But if you
I wish I knew.
Get a new number. Please change it because somebody will get allocated that number. It's only a finite amount of numbers.
Yeah. And if you have one of my old numbers and any hot girls are texting it looking for me, by all means, feel free to reach out to me. And depending on the female, I might relay a newer number.
Yeah.
It's a time traveling booty call.
Yeah, man.
Traveling booty.
Does anybody else here have any things to bring up about this?
Just know your threat model. Know when you need to go pretty much off the grid versus pretty much make yourself look normal.
Damn right.
Because it's like an old thing from past lives and stuff like that. Like in Iraq, there was this one little base that was blacked out 100% all the time. The problem is their surrounding city was not blacked out, so it was pretty simple to figure out where the base was in the middle of the night. So just kind of understand, it's like if you're going dark, they know it's you versus pretty much making yourself look like a normal human being.
Yeah, and one thing, even though this goes against a lot of common advice, don't fucking use Tor for everything that you do. Like, if you're trying to be unnoticed, using Tor for your fucking router for everything that goes through it makes you stand out like a sore thumb. Like, you're fucking flashing lights, basically. Like, hey, look at me. I think that I'm being discreet. Like, and I really don't want you to know what I'm doing. That's gonna make people interested in what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, there's a person who I wrote this up a couple times, but there's a person who made bomb threats at Harvard, and they were using Tor to do this, and they were the only person using Tor.
Yeah, he was the only student on his campus that was using Tor. So they were able to immediately figure out which MAC address it was. And then somebody from the school literally just walked around with I think it was Wiggle or Weigel, however you say it.
Yeah.
He was walking around with Weigel until he found that MAC address. And then he just looked around, tried to figure out like whose rooms were where, found out what room the guy was in, and then reported him. Like called the cops, reported him in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was really, really easy. So the guy on their network team that knew what to look for, like, found him in a matter of like, I think it was 10 minutes. He was just walking around campus, found that SSID. It was like, cool, boom. I know exactly who it was. It was whoever owns this laptop and this iPhone.
Yeah.
Randomize your MAC actors next time, noob.
Right? Well, there's another thing. iPhone and also Windows 10 will let you randomize your MAC address when you connect to Wi-Fi, either every time you connect or daily. That's cool. That's good. But it does. Windows 10 will. You can set it under the network adapter settings to randomize the MAC address.
Also, when it scans.
When it scans, it doesn't always randomize it. That's a bug. So when you're not connected to a Wi-Fi, your device is usually giving out its real MAC address, which is part of why when you're not connected to your trusted Wi-Fi and in range of it, you should turn your fucking Wi-Fi off. So yeah, there's that. And also be aware that you can't change your LTE or 3G antenna's MAC address without really fucking with your phone. And if you do, your carrier will absolutely start watching you way more intently. So heads up, don't randomize your cellular MAC address. That is not going to end well for you.
Yeah. My goodness. Yeah. I feel like that's it's the Streisand effect kind of thing. Where if you don't want.
Yeah. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Well, guess who's getting looked at?
Yeah. Exactly. So if nobody doesn't have anything else, I'm thinking of actually calling this a little bit early just because I have a bunch of stuff to do. I actually have to finish packing for DEF CON because we're going to be heading out tomorrow night.
Get your ass out here already.
Yeah, no, we'll be there. But for everybody else, though, thank you guys for listening. We will be on Sunday. I'll tweet out when the Sunday stream is going to happen. We'll be joined by everybody who's at DEF CON, who's usually on the podcast. And anybody else who is around, wants to hang out, hit us up. We'll be, if you haven't joined our Discord yet, did I give a Discord link yet? No. You can join our Discord. We have a DEF CON channel, so if you're there and you want to hang, we are here. And what happened to the YouTube stream? Yeah, YouTube.
Practice good OPSEC on that Discord channel, please, for the love of God.
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, you practicing.
Don't post your photo.
You practicing some bad at OPSEC here. He's already at DEF CON.
Right?
Well, maybe.
Who knows? But
exactly.
Regardless,
except for that Canadian girl to meet me.
Yes. So yeah, everybody who does want to meet up, we have some cool stickers, and we have some cool Wi-Fi antennas that have a middle finger for a trace for the antenna on the board.
Oh, so, fuck yeah!
Yeah, we'll definitely give you one. But yeah, anybody else who's around though, hit us up. We'll be around. We'll be there on Sunday, and we'll be streaming on Sunday. And anybody with anything to say, just tweet at us. We'll be here. Also, look at our Patreon if anybody has not, because we are trying to fund some cool projects. And yeah, thanks everybody for hanging. We'll see you Sunday.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
Awesome. This is great. And I'll definitely add all the show notes too that we have, so we can share your wisdom further.
Word. And just heads up, I've got my Twitter profile private during the week of DEF CON. If you're there, I would recommend you do likewise. If it's publicly viewable, people can also, depending on their cleverness, figure out way more about you than you might realize, even if they're not following you already. So just consider making yourselves private till Sunday. Excellent. But if you ask to follow me, I'm going to approve it, but I am going to probably OSINT the shit out of you.
Hell yeah.
I don't have any OPSEC, so...
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. I still, like, are we live right now?
Nope, we are going to go off right